When I enter Magic the Gathering events, I find that I'm always on the lookout to find who's playing Control. Partly because I don't want to play them, but mostly because I don't want my stuff to get countered. Counterspells are good, but they can be a little annoying, especially in a format like Duel Commander, so if you're a player who's sick of having your creatures countered, this may be the perfect deck for you. Surrak Dragonclaw is a straight up powerhouse. In the Teamer color identity and loaded with a nice ability set, this guy is no joke. But before we go on, let's take a closer look at his card. He's a 6/6 human for 5 mana with some pretty awesome abilities. He has Flash, he can't be countered, he also says that creature spells you control can't be countered, and other creatures you control have Trample. Pretty good, right? So I know what you're saying. Okay, so Surrak's pretty kick-ass, but what should I do with him? Now, the game plan for this guy is pretty interesting and really simple. Basically, what you want to do is control the game until you're able to slam down Surrak. Then, you just keep playing big dudes until your opponent is completely overrun. During my early testing, I found that I was following a pretty standard flow of turns each game, and it looked a little something like this. Card draw and counter magic are the most important spells you have during the early turns, but after dropping a turn 4 Walker and following that up with the Surrak, I found that most decks just won't have enough answers to the amount of threats that you're able to dish out. But just like with every other deck, there are a couple of downsides to playing Surrak. Number 1 is his synergy. Surrak, compared to other commanders, has a total lack of synergy, so he's forced to depend solely on his brute strength to win games, which leads into his second downfall, his versatility. Since raw power is all that you have to work with, the deck is not really versatile, meaning that this deck will basically be doing the same thing every single time you play it, and if you find yourself in a tight spot, it may be a little difficult to find your way out. But when you're building your deck, there are a few things that you should keep in mind. Now, if you take a look at my list, you would see that I run quite a bit of lands. Now, the reason I do this is because in Duel Commander, if you're a control deck and fall behind on resources, the game becomes much harder to win. So by including 40 plus lands, you not only make hitting land drops much easier, but you also make mulligans a lot safer. The second thing to keep in mind is counter spells. You want them, and you want lots of them. If you end up following my flowchart, counters will become your best friend, and even though your creatures can't be countered, your opponent usually won't have that same luxury. Last but not least are the creatures. Now these guys are what will eventually win you the game, and when you're choosing what creatures to include, it may be a little overwhelming just because there's so many good ones to choose from. What I would suggest you do is categorize your creatures into 2 groups, utility and finishers. You want utility creatures because since Surrak has some shortcomings in the synergy department, you want to be able to increase board position or give yourself some card advantage. But my favorite part of this deck are the finishers. Now these are the guys that you can cast after resolving Surrak. Titans and Dragons are great spells to include here, giving you immediate effects and a looming threat on the board. But if you're going for a control build, I would recommend only including no more than 10 to 15 creatures. All in all, Surrak is a general of raw power. Though he lacks the synergy of some other legends, Surrak's ability set more than makes up for it. So, if you're interested in slamming down uncounterable Titans and Dragons, I suggest checking out my deck list in the description box down below. It's not perfect, but it's a good place to start, so proxy this bad boy up and get testing. Here's a question for you. What would be your favorite creature to slam down on the battlefield with Surrak? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, keep shuffling, Magic players. Thanks for watching part 5 of my Khans of Tarkir special. If you guys like this video, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like button. And if you want more from Force 4 Cards, be sure to sub to my channel for some more awesome EDH videos, and to follow me on Twitter for some behind the scenes of Force 4 Cards action. Also, if you want to check out another Khans legend, be sure to click on their picture. See you later, guys.